Well, go on. It ain't so easy now, is it? What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today for episode 6 of Fright Flick Friday. So go on back up there, Mr. October. I didn't think so. Welcome to Fright Flick Friday. This is my series where I just briefly go over all of the movies that I've watched over the last week, and this week I got to 4 of them. I got to John Carpenter's Halloween, I got to Assault on Precinct 13, The Prince of Darkness, and I just finished watching Christine. So if you haven't sensed the theme here, those are all John Carpenter films. So what I'm going to try and do throughout the month of October is watch all of the Halloween movies and as many John Carpenter movies as I can get in, or as many as I have at least, and discuss them here on Fright Flick Friday. So first up this week, I watched John Carpenter's Halloween for the, 1500th time. I'm sure all of you out there that are watching this video have also seen that movie countless amount of times, so we all know the story. Babysitter goes to drop, or a girl goes to drop off mail in an abandoned house for her father. The mailbox, or the house previously belonged to a psychopath killer who killed his sister when he was a little boy, and now he's following the babysitter, and mayhem ensues. Very simple premise. Guy tries to kill the babysitter, and that movie has now carried on for 42 years, and it is often referred to as the birth of the slasher movie. I don't know how true that is, because I know there were a few that were made before that. But this movie to me is very special. It's definitely my favorite movie of all time. So going forward on any ranking videos that has to do with the Halloween franchise or serial killers or what have you, slasher movies, that's always going to be number one for me. I thought that Nick Castle was fantastic as the Shape, Donald Pleasance, and I almost called her Laurie Strode. My lord, what is her name? Jamie Lee Curtis. Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis were just outstanding in that movie. PJ Souls, Nancy Loomis, everybody involved in that movie was really fantastic. The story's simple, the movie's great. John Carpenter, it was his second major motion picture. I believe Assault on Precinct 13 was his first major motion picture, and I guess that's a good segue. We'll move on to that now. I can't imagine. I don't need to suggest that you watch Halloween. I have to assume that all of you have seen Halloween, like I said, a countless number of times. I know I have. I own that movie probably 6 or 7 times on DVD. I still have a VHS of it. My whole room that I'm standing in is based around it. So, obviously, Halloween means a lot to me. All right, so moving on. Next up, I watched Assault on Precinct 13 for the first time ever. I've never owned it. I've never seen it. I never really honestly knew what it was even about, but I bought it the other day. There was a Scream Factory release of it. I jumped on Amazon and ordered this movie for no other reason than I never saw it. I knew that October was was right around the corner when I ordered it, and I had hoped to get it, so that I could review it for my Fright Flick Friday series. It had actually got here in a matter of 3 days, so I actually was able to get it, open it, get it in, and have it for the first Friday of October. It was a really good movie. I was actually quite surprised, to be honest with you. I shouldn't have been, because of how much of a John Carpenter fan I actually am. It definitely felt like a John Carpenter movie. It felt a lot, the score felt familiar. A few familiar faces in there. The guy who played Sheriff Brackett in Halloween was in there. Nancy Loomis was in there, and she was Annie Brackett, so father and daughter, they were in there. Apollo Creed's trainer. I don't remember what that guy's name is at all. Duke? I don't remember. That may have even been his name in Rocky. Can't remember what that guy's name was. He was in there. So there were a few familiar faces. A friend of mine said that one of the main characters in Assault on Precinct 13 was basically laid the groundwork and the base for the character of Snake Plissken, who later appeared in Escape from New York and Escape from L.A. But Assault on Precinct 13 is basically a guy stops to make a phone call. His daughter jumps out of the car, wants to get some ice cream, bugs her dad for some money. She goes to buy the ice cream. She winds up getting shot. Then the dad chases down the gang that shot him, kills a gang member. The gang chases him to a police station that is being moved to another location, so it's basically abandoned. And then the movie goes from there. People trapped inside of a police station, being stalked by a gang. It's like a revenge type movie. Also a very simple premise, but it was actually pretty darn good. I'm glad I bought it. I want to watch. There's some bonus features on here that I wanted to watch as well, but I didn't have time to do it yesterday. I actually had to leave for work. But yeah, Assault on Precinct 13 was really, really good. Not my favorite John Carpenter movie by any means. Take Halloween out of the picture, and it still is not by any means my favorite John Carpenter film. You can tell it's him, but you can also tell that it's early in his career. Next up, I watched Prince of Darkness. I saw this in the movie theater, if I'm not mistaken, and I have not watched this movie in a very, very long time. There were certain things in this movie that I actually remembered. It was almost like burned into my psyche. Images of Alice Cooper looking like a hobo out in the streets. I remember that. There is a black gentleman in the movie who at one point basically becomes possessed, and I remember him with the bloody rag around his neck, and just the high-pitched crying that he's doing.
I still love you.
That's the image that stuck out in my mind more than anything else. Donald Pleasance is in this, and he's a priest. It's weird for me. But, yeah, this is a good movie. It's, the movie begins with a priest who has died, and he's laying on a bed, with a little metal box that has a key in it. That key opens up a door inside of an abandoned church, and through that door is a gigantic basement, and inside of that basement is a big cylinder that has some sort of green ooze in it that's spinning around, and it's more or less haunting or possessing people. It's a very strange concept, but not too strange if you know John Carpenter's work well enough. This is right up his alley. But again, you can tell that this is a John Carpenter movie. Familiar faces in the cast, the score, the nature in which the film is shot. Some of the dialogue, it just feels like a John Carpenter movie. Also not one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, but this one's pretty darn good. I like this one quite a lot. And finally, I just finished watching this no more than a half hour ago. I went back and revisited Christine. I think it's been probably about a year and a half or 2 years since I watched this movie. I watched this with my younger son, Michael. He really enjoyed this movie. This is based on a Stephen King book. So right off the bat, you know it's a collaboration basically between Stephen King and John Carpenter. I don't know how much they actually collaborated on it. I don't know the background of that very much at all. But if Stephen King created it and John Carpenter read it and then put it on film and directed the film, you know it's got to be good. And it certainly is. Christine, in my opinion, is a pretty legendary movie. I've been watching that movie since I was really young. I think that came out in like 1982 or 1983, which would make me either 11 or 12. So, right around 82, 83 is when I believe that came out. I didn't look it up before I came down here. My bad. But yeah, Christine is a really, really good movie as well. Again, not my favorite John Carpenter movie, and it's also not my favorite adaptation to a Stephen King novel, but it's still a very good product. There's a whole lot to choose from between Carpenter movies and Stephen King adaptations or movies. And that one it's just not my favorite, but it's still, with that being said, a very, very, very good movie. So, I guess it's fair to say, of the 4 movies that I watched this week, easily Halloween is my favorite. I mean, there's no disputing that. Like I said, that's my favorite movie of all time. So that's always going to be my favorite. No matter what the top... I guess if you're talking about like gardening movies or whatever, Halloween's not my favorite. But anything that has to do with the world of horror, Halloween is going to be my favorite. I mean, it's not a werewolf movie, but you get what I'm saying. And my least favorite of these movies, I'd have to say, is definitely Assault on Precinct 13, which, with that being said, I still like that movie quite a lot. It's just, of those four, it's my least favorite. So, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Fright Flick Friday. If you guys have anything that you would like me to watch down the road on Fright Flick Friday, leave something in the comment section and we can talk about it. If it's available to me, or if I own it, or if it's streaming someplace and I can get my hands on it or get my eyes on it, I'll definitely watch it. I have no problem with any of that. So, like I said, for October, I got a pretty full plate as far as what I'm going to watch and put on Fright Flick Friday. But after October, I'm open to pretty much anything you guys suggest. So that's it. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.